Welcome back, everybody. I meant to do a bunch of what if videos, or post a bunch of what if videos, but I decided not to because my opinion changed on a few things relating to the questions, but I still have 6 videos to do, and I'm going to do the easiest one first. The easiest one right here is, what if John Cena was a good wrestler? Now, if John Cena was a good wrestler, nothing would change. That's why it's the easiest question I have here. It was like, the question was, would, WWE improve or something, or would people stop complaining about John Cena? And no, they wouldn't, because the match quality would improve by if he was a good wrestler by half a star or something. But John Cena, it's not that he's a bad wrestler. I mean, he isn't good. He's got bad timing. He doesn't do a lot of moves, but doesn't mean he's a bad wrestler. It means he has bad work rate compared to guys like Chris Benoit, Shawn Michaels, guys like that. But he is one of the top storytellers in the WWE, and people forget about that. A lot of internet fans forget about storytelling. They just want to see a series of spots, and they feel that a bunch of moves makes a good match, where it doesn't. And you can tell this because people are like, he only has 5 moves. Oh, you can only does this and that and that, this and that. Yet WWE has always been like that. Most guys only have a handful of moves. John Cena's boring, and you'd probably get that if he was a good wrestler. He'd do submission holds, and he'd do suplexes and things like that. And they'd say, well, his matches are boring. Thing is, the reason why John Cena is getting singled out, and I believe Marvel has said this, and a few other people have said this, is because he's the poster boy of the WWE, and WWE has been mediocre over the past couple of years. Now, if John Cena was a good wrestler, he wouldn't be able to turn the whole company around by himself. There is bad booking, and there's bad, wrestling, and there's stupid decisions, and things like that on all 3 shows. But, Batista, because he isn't the poster boy of the WWE, he wouldn't be getting picked on. If he was on Raw, he would be, because Raw is the flagship show, and that would make Batista the poster boy wrestler. But it really wouldn't change anything if he was a good wrestler, because they would, and this has been, I'm sorry, keep coughing, but people started hating him before they found reasons to. It was, they started hating him, or they had a backlash against him, and then it was like, and I remember it, because I was on the internet at that time, and people would say, well, you hate John Cena, and they'd come up with these stupid reasons, like, he only has 5 moves, and Bret Hart didn't have, 5 moves of doom at the end of his matches. Hogan had a rigid match formula where it would be, Hogan dominates for the first minute or so, then Hogan makes a comeback, and then the other guy makes a comeback, or a referee will distract, or something will happen. The heel will get the upper hand. The heel will beat down on Hogan for a while. Or they'll do the hope spot where the heel will get Hogan in a headlock, or something of that nature, and Hogan will make a magical comeback, and everyone will go, oh, he's making a comeback, and and that's why it's called a hope spot. And then step 4 would be the heel would do their finishing move, or just start beating down on him again. That's why it was called a hope spot. And step 3 was a hope spot, and then Hogan would Hulk up, win the match. And John Cena has an even less rigid storytelling formula to that, because if you watch with his matches with HBK, there is different stories told, and it changes from wrestler to wrestler. I mean, it doesn't change a lot, but it does change. But people, and here's a problem with a lot of smart fans today, is they think the amount of moves in a match or the amount of moves a guy can do depends on how good of a wrestler they are. That is not the case, because they say John Cena isn't a good wrestler because he can only do 5 moves. Or there's a video of John Cena, when he was in wrestling school, and it showed him not doing moves very well, and all messing up, and the teacher saying, no, that was wrong. And that's like, that means he's a bad wrestler. It means he's got a bad work rate, or whatever. Or he doesn't know a lot of moves. It doesn't mean he's a bad wrestler. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't say Stone Cold was a bad wrestler, and these are the same fans. And Stone Cold was just a storyteller by the end of his career. He only had a couple of offensive moves. Same thing with The Rock. But they were both good storytellers. John Cena is a very good storyteller too. But the reason why they hate him is because WWE isn't very good, and people focus I'll just say dislike for WWE. They focus it all on John Cena and say it's John Cena's fault. PS Power, for example, it's not John Cena's fault. If he was in TNA, I bet you wouldn't be bitching. I'm pretty sure of that. But another way to support this is Stone Cold. He comes back every couple months and does the same bullshit he did back in 1998. Or 1999 or whatever. He give someone a beer, he'd give him a stunner. It's 2008 now, and people are still popping for that. And you know why? It's because people have nostalgia for the Attitude Era, which was a good period, or when they were younger and they didn't have any high expectations, or so they enjoyed the Attitude Era. And Stone Cold was the top guy during the Attitude Era. So when Stone Cold comes back, they cheer him. It's the same thing with Hogan. When he was the top guy, WWF was good. So when he comes back, people cheer him. The thing with, and there's a difference, and people might say, well, what about, WWE was bad, or WWF was bad in 1992 through to 1997 when Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were the top guys. Well, a lot of people say a lot of bad shit about that, about HBK. It's like, oh, he's got a bad attitude and things like that, and they would, at the time, from what I understand from talking to old people, they would find reasons to dislike HBK. He did get a lot of heat from the crowd. Bret Hart was he got a lot of heat from the crowd when Austin was coming up, but that was just a part of the storyline. But they weren't. The difference with those guys was, they weren't really shoved down everyone's throat. You had Bret Hart and you had Shawn Michaels, and they were the top guys, but they were good wrestlers, and so people really couldn't find it. And the internet wasn't as big back then, and people couldn't really find reasons to hate them. I'm sure if Bret Hart was 28 now and in John Cena's position or something and doing the same thing he did in the 90s, people was saying he's not a good wrestler or something like that. And I mean, Hogan, even when WWF was getting bad, he was still the top guy. He wouldn't get booed. I mean, he'd get booed occasionally in the smarter cities, and we know this. But it was never really the type of reaction John Cena gets. And the reason why John Cena gets this reaction is because it's after the Attitude Era, where all these fans got on the internet, and the internet fans grew really large, or the internet wrestling community grew really large, and then WWF went downhill, or WWE went downhill, in their opinion, and it's the first time WWE has really been bad since the internet wrestling fan boom. So they've told all their friends who like wrestling, John Cena's bad. Of course, most wrestling fans today internet wrestling fans aren't very smart. They find, I mean, seriously, you will find, if you ask them why they dislike John Cena, it's like, he looks like a monkey when he gets beaten up in a match, the way he bobbles his head around, or, he can't cut a promo, and things like that. He has no charisma, he's boring, he only has 5 moves. But, they're not really real reasons to hate him. Or, he uses submission hold at the end of WrestleMania 22 and 23. Oh, no. It's like, it worked with the match, because WrestleMania is where you get definitive finishes, and so, my point is, John Cena is just a target of everyone else's hate, because of, as I've said, because WWE is it was in decline, and I don't think the heat's going to go away if WWE gets better. I mean, because people will still, because it's just cool to boo him, and the thing is, with a lot of fans on the internet, if you dislike Cena, then you're a smart fan, and that's only a prerequisite. I go into forums and say, there's no reason for you to hate John Cena, and I do it, and it's like, you're a mark, you're a fucking mark, and just on like that. As I said, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart were different, because there wasn't really a strong internet wrestling community back then, and even then Bret and Shawn did get heat, like John Cena did, just not to the levels they do now, because, the internet wrestling community was still growing. Anyway, just look back at the past years of WWE and think about this thing for yourself, and you'll probably see what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm out. Goodbye. I'll be back in a couple days with another video.